a picture of everybody waving to the camera, because I'm going to get you all on Twitter. Everybody wave. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Great. Okay. So, raise show of hands. Who here is lives and works on the peninsula? And who lives and works on the south side? And who said Southsiders wouldn't come over here for a luncheon? That's great. Clearly, there's going to be a lot more of these over here. I hope they do. The slides I'm going to show, there's going to be a link at the end where you can download them. And there's even when you download them, there's going to be an opportunity for you to provide anonymous feedback on my presentation. I really appreciate it, and I really won't know what you're going to say. Brad's seen me speak, and I'm always able to tell what he's saying, but it's like older brothers, you know, they kind of give you that kind of feedback. And what I'm going to do is just outline some of the changes that have happened in marketing recently. You know, it's sometimes difficult to notice it as you're going through it. And then share with you some constructs that successful marketers are doing now. And then at the very end, talk about what it looks like for marketers in the future based on all the experts out there, as well as for marketers who are able to master some of the things that I'm going to talk about, their salaries are going to double in the next 5 years. How many folks here are actually in a marketing function where they work? So about half or more. Okay, great. And if you have any questions, I'd appreciate if you could just ask them while we're going, except for Brad. And sometimes the questions are more interesting than what I'm going to say. So, in an Adobe study recently, it was called the digital distress. What's keeping marketers up at night? It was found that marketing has changed more in the last 2 years than in the previous 50. And some of you all are probably losing sleep about this as well. I like to frame it as we are living in a post-war era. And I don't mean post-World War II or some other conflict. I'm referring to the marketing war. And it started maybe around right after World War II, and it's ended recently. But it was an ugly war, this marketing war. Marketers tortured their captives. And I'd like to show you a clip from a movie from 1947, which sums up this zeitgeist about the power that marketers had and what they thought of the people they were marketing to. It's a movie called The Hucksters, and it was about an ad guy who went to work on Madison Avenue, maybe before I was born, of course. But I think it sums it up nicely.
May I present Mr. Victor Norman?
Mr. Victor, Mr. Norman, you've just seen me do a disgusting thing. You'll always remember what I just did. You see, Mr. Norman, if nobody remembers your brand, you aren't going to sell any soap, okay? You see, Mr. Foreman, you see, Mr. Norman, I've got my own ideas on how to sell. I believe in selling by demonstration. Any other way is all wet. See what I mean? You see, Mr. Foreman, this company gives your agency $10 million a year to spend on advertising. You know why? I'll tell you a secret about the soap business, Mr. Norman. There's absolutely no difference between soap. Absolutely none, except for perfume and color. Soap is soap. Or maybe we have a few manufacturing tricks. But the public don't give a hoot about that. The difference is in selling and advertising. We sell soap twice as fast as our nearest competitor. Why do we outsell them? Because we out-advertise them, right? Right. We out-advertise our competitors, Mr. something remarkable about that. This. We spend on an average of $3 million a year less than they do. We out-advertise them and outsell them but on less money. That can be a thought to you. It does to me. It means to me that we know what we are doing. Sales principles are not theories. They are proven facts. Example, guilty soap, guilty soap, guilty soap. Repeated, it comes out of their ears. Repeated to the same thing. Irritate them, Mr. Norman. Irritate, irritate, irritate them. Never forget, irritate them, knock them dead. See what I mean?
Okay, everyone who's ever worked at an agency, have you been in that meeting before? No, Kathy? Yeah? Okay. So that set the tone for what this marketing war was. But the marketing resistance refused to surrender. Slowly, victories added up for the marketing resistance. Things like TV remotes and RSS readers and caller ID and satellite radio, MP3 players, streaming music like Spotify, streaming video like Netflix, and the Can-Spam Act. Does anyone know what the Can-Spam Act stands for? The two lawyers in the room, don't raise your hand. It stands for, it was in 2003, and it's about email. You're not allowed to send email to people that haven't opted into an email list that you have. And it stands for controlling the assault of non-solicited pornography and marketing. So as a marketer, don't you feel good knowing that you're lumped in with pornographers? Makes us all seem more exciting than we may actually be, or at least for me. So the marketing wars wrought great change. This is a graph of news. I know we got newspaper folks in the room, so if you're working for a newspaper now, you're going to be good. You're good to go. This is newspaper advertising revenue from 1950 to 2013, which shows that adjusted for inflation, it's the same. The red on the right there is the digital products. And there's been a lot of collateral damage from this marketing war. 86% of the population skips TV commercials. 44% of direct mail goes straight to the landfill, which doesn't mean you shouldn't be using direct mail. Gary Carter from Progressive, I added that for you. Thank you. You should hire somebody who knows what they're doing in direct mail. Over 200 million phone numbers are on the do not call list. There's only 300 million of us in the United States. And 91% of email users have opted out of an email list they've subscribed to. So there's been many casualties. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks 840 occupational categories. And for the period, the 10 years from 2002 to 2012, the number one category with the greatest decline, minus 65%. Anyone care to guess what it is? Advertising and promotion managers. They're on the far right there, minus 65%. A lot of these others were building trades or textile workers. Some of those building trades are going to come back. But also the second one in from the left is pre-press technicians, which shows you a hit. So when I talk to somebody like Gary or somebody who's in the printing business, if they're in it now, they're going to make it. It's going to be great. So now that I've depressed all the newspaper and advertising people in the room, basically the consumer has defeated the market. But some marketers still refuse to surrender.
Kurt, when the Chinese said, when you seek revenge, dig who brings. They didn't have a system of law to get you damages without killing the party responsible. We do. I'm Lowell the Hammer Stanley. Please call me today, and I will explain exactly how we try to get the most money we can using justice, not vengeance. We try to get everything that the law says is yours. Call me right now. 459 cash. 459 cash. I'm waiting and ready to go after your award.
There aren't many of those left, but I would like to point out that there is, in fact, a personal injury law firm here in the room, in case you trip on the way out. And I would like to say it's Cooper Hurley, right?
Correct.
I know both of you.
Cooper
And,
Hurley, injury lawyer.
Injury lawyers, I'm sorry, I'm
Thank you.
sorry. And they do not, they're very successful, they do not do advertising like that, and I would like to personally thank you for not doing advertising like that. Can we have a round of applause?
You're welcome.
So basically, the marketing megaphone is broken, but technology has not only helped defeat the marketers, more importantly, technology has changed how people buy. So everyone talks about how sales and marketing has changed. That's a byproduct. The way people buy has changed. And that's changed marketing and sales forever. Once upon a time, the salesman had the upper hand. Did anyone ever see the movie Glengarry, Glen Ross with, there were so many actors, but Alec Baldwin was one of them. He played the hotshot, hard-charging salesman. But that upper hand was based on information. And the salesperson had it, and the buyer wanted it. So each time you had, when you were starting to make a purchase, a major purchase, you fairly early on, you had to go talk to the salesperson to get information about the product. And each time, that salesperson, theoretically, could extract their pound of flesh by giving you the information. Thanks to the internet, the salesperson's leverage is diminished forever. It doesn't mean the salespeople aren't important, but their leverage in that respect has diminished. Buyers can get their information online, and now every major purchase starts with a search. And so if you think about like a car, it's a great example. Years ago, fairly early on when you were looking to buy a car, you had to go to the dealership to find out options and colors and what it was going to cost and all kinds of things like that. If some of you can remember back to that. And now, the buyer goes to the smart buyer goes to the dealership, and she's already determined what she's interested in. She's researched a lot of them based on all these reviews. She's spoken to her friends on social media, and even strangers on social media. She's read reviews. She knows even how much the dealership paid for the car. So what is it that salesperson's going to tell her? It's very disruptive from what I've understood from car dealership people, how much more they know than the poor guy trying to sell the product. And in a B2B situation, buyers are also, various studies have shown buyers are 60 to 80% through their purchase before they first call the salesperson. The last person they want to do is engage with the seller. So, you can't interrupt prospects with marketing messages very much anymore like we used to in the good old days. And you don't know when they are a prospect. Jay Baer, who spoke to the AMA last year, author of Utility, he talks about how buyers are now ninjas. You don't even know when they're about to buy from you. So what's a marketer to do? Well, two things, but the first thing, I'm not going to cover too much, but it's often forgotten by a lot of companies if you only have a few dollars to spend on marketing, talk to your customers first. There was a book that I read recently, and I interviewed for my podcast. I interviewed him on Tuesday, Noah Fleming, who wrote a book called Evergreen. And he's up in cold Canada, and he said, yeah, I'd love to come down there and speak. But he talks about how companies that first maximize everything they're doing for their customers and market to their customers, show their appreciation, make sure their customers are using their product successfully, that type of thing, they're much more profitable than companies that devote all their time and energy to getting just new customers. I mean, you could argue that Lowell the Hammer, he's probably focused just on getting new ones because it's probably a leaky bucket. They're not sticking around, they're not coming back. So that's really the most important thing that you should do is focus on your customers. But after that, you need to get more, and the most important thing now is to get found online because so many people are doing searches before they make a purchase. Now let me just explain one technical thing about AdWords which most everyone may be familiar with, not AdWords, but on a search result, there's organic and inorganic. Have some of you heard of those terms? Where what it means is the blue area, and it's not just on Google, but the blue area represents where you can purchase ads on a search engine result page based on what somebody's searching for. So in this example, somebody was searching search engine optimization, and it brings up on the side ads for companies that that do that type of service. The green part is the organic search, so you'll hear me use that term again. Those are the results that the algorithms send up to you. And purchasing ads have zero effect on the organic results. And the reason why is because Google loses sleep worrying that they're going to give you a bad search result. They really do worry that they are not going to continue their predominance, their leadership in search. So that's what I talk about when I say organic, inorganic. So you need to get found online, but it's a jungle out there. 94% of the links search users click are on the organic, in other words, the research side, not the paid, the blue part that I just showed you. And 68% of all clicks go to the top 3 organic, go to the top 3 search results, and 75% of people never even get to that second page. So getting found online can be a challenge. So a lot of times people will ask a question that relates to what's gone on in the last 20 years of being found online. If I get an SEO guy to tinker with my site, will that help me get found? It worked nicely for a long time. Well, and you'll notice he's got a black hat for all the people that know about black hat SEO, which is basically the term used for trying to game the algorithm. Not anymore. The days of trying to trick a search engine are over. You may have heard of Google Panda, Google Penguin, Google Pigeon. They got this thing with animals that start with P. But there are all these updates where they are attempting to make it very difficult to game their system. In fact, if they find that you're not following their guidelines, they will punish you. They did that to JCPenney and it cost them millions of dollars. They found out they were gaming it. Well, anyway, they've gotten very, very good at this, and you just cannot fool Google. And there's a new book on my Kindle from Guy Kawasaki. Some of you may have heard of Guy Kawasaki. He worked at Apple for a long time. And he just wrote another book. He's written a lot of books. This one's called The Art of Social Media. And I'm interviewing him this afternoon for my podcast. He'll be on next Friday. This message brought to you by the Marketing Book Podcast. And when there's one part I just had to quote where he said, now I'm going to do some cussing here. And it's the only time he does it in his book. In our opinion, most search engine optimization, SEO, is bullshit. It involves trying to read Google's mind and then gaming the system to make Google find crap. There are 3,000 computer science PhDs at Google trying to make each search relevant, and then there's you trying to fool them. Who's going to win? Tricking Google is futile. Instead, you should let Google do what it does best. Find great content. So defy all the SEO witchcraft out there and focus on creating, curating, and sharing great content. Plus, according to Rand Fishkin from Moz, only about 15% of what you do on your actual site affects your search engine results now. Only about 15% of what you do on your search engine, on-page SEO, affects your results. That's usually, a lot of people aren't aware of that. What's the other 85%? It has to do like with the domain, the authority of your domain, but also most importantly, how many authoritative links are coming to your site. And don't buy links because they already know who sells them. And if you link with one other company, they subtract that out. And also, how much is your content being shared? How long are people on it? Which page are they going to? That and about 196 other things are in their algorithm to figure out where to put everything to deliver the best result. So another question that comes up is, can I pay search engine rankings for better rankings? Search engines for better rankings. And we talked about that just a minute ago. You can buy search ads on the side, the blue part, but not in the green part, where it's organic, where most people are clicking on. And, I'm sorry, I already repeated that. Organic search results. So how the heck do I get found online? Okay, the next slide is the most important one in the presentation, and it's the only thing you're going to be tested on before we do the giveaway. Be a magnet. Be a magnet. Publish on your website what people are searching for. Now, I know that's hard for most companies because they want to talk about themselves because they think they're so great, but most people, other than their moms, they're not that interested. So let me tell you 2 quick stories. American Express corporate card. Maybe 10 years ago, they were a big marketer. They noticed that their sign-ups were dropping off and had been driven for a long time by advertising. along with all the other marketing activities they did to try to get small businesses to sign up for the corporate card. Well, they had to figure out something. So what they did is what every company should do, and more of them are doing now. They said, well, how can we reach these small business people? We know they don't care about us. They're not interested in American Express. They don't really want to be marketed to. Nobody does. What is it they want? Well, they did some research to confirm it, and they determined that small business owners need information. They need guidance. They want to know how to run their business, how to market their business, how to handle their finances, how to keep up with the latest employment law, things like that. So if anyone's ever heard of the American Express Open Forum, some of you probably have, it's a fantastic website. What they did is they built this website, redirected a lot of their advertising into building this, hiring some writers. Now they've got a lot of guest writers. Even Guy Kawasaki is a guest poster, although I think he actually gets paid to write on this. And it's a fantastic, as a small business owner, I find it really, really helpful. You can connect in there, and you can meet up with other people that are in your same field to ask questions in a non-competitive way. That's the #1 place they're getting corporate card signups from. Even further, they haven't stopped advertising, but when they advertise, they are saying not, hey, get a corporate card, people will like you more, or whatever. Sorry, my old ad days are coming back to me. But they're saying, hey, we've got a great resource. It's going to be really helpful for you. It's the Open Forum. Go there and you're going to find out a lot of great information. You see how they're using that to get them to their content, to their own site? Another example, which is not business to business, but it's business to consumer, which is right here in Virginia, River Pools and Spas. They were all through, I guess starting after 2000 sometime, they were a successful fiberglass pool company, and most of their business was in the Richmond and the DC area, even up into Maryland. And these guys are good guys, and they had they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in both markets on advertising. And then 2008 rolled around, and any real estate people here know what happened in 2008. You know, the whole economy went down, and people were not being able to pay their mortgages. They definitely weren't going to be buying pools. They were asking for their deposits back. It was just about lights out for these guys. But to add to that, they had an issue of somebody had been embezzling from them, and they were in trouble with the IRS, which tells me it was probably the bookkeeper. But so they were just about out. And Marcus Sheridan, who's one of the owners, he said, I'm just going to go down fighting. There's nothing else I can do. So he started this thing called blogging. And he started a blog, and all he did was started answering any question he'd ever gotten from a prospective customer. I think his first blog post was, how much does a fiberglass pool cost? And it was on, what's the difference between concrete? He just started answering all their questions. Now this was 2008, so it was before the land rush. They pretty quickly, in a matter of months, were able to become the #1 pool site in the country. And they were higher than even the pool manufacturers. And it really turned their business around because people want to buy, they don't want to be sold to. They were getting the information, and they were using marketing automation software. You can tell how many pages of the site they're going to after they've become a lead, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. And they've turned it around, and they're enormously successful. Now they're into actually manufacturing. But what's interesting to me is it got to the point, and where they still are, where they would get a call from somebody who would say, hey, we want you to come out, we want to talk to you about the pool. And they would say, great, we're going to send you a little ebook, everything you need to know to make a smart pool choice. We're going to email that to you. We're going to call you back the day before the appointment. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, that's fine. We're just going to reschedule. Well, that got rid of all the tire kickers, which weren't many. They go out to the houses now. They're closing at 85%. Just amazing. So you look at their website, River Pools and Spas, I think .com. But even on their blog, see the attitude they have. Welcome to the most educational swimming pool blog in the country. They're publishing information their customers want. And they've also got things on here like a call to action. You'll see at the lower right, download a free fiberglass buying guide. So anyway, he's been very successful. Here he is, a picture of him. He was written up in the New York Times. He's done a TED Talk. He's even started a marketing consultancy working with companies doing that type of thing. So marketing was once constrained by space. So, in other words, there was how many column inches were in the newspaper, how many magazines were out there, how much TV inventory, how many salespeople could you put on the street, how much direct mail could you send, how many outdoor boards could you buy. We got an outdoor guy here. But now, that's not necessarily the case. There's unlimited space if you think about it. You can have infinite number of web pages, you can upload lots of videos, you can communicate directly with your prospective buyers and your customers. So marketing is now not constrained by space, it's constrained by just being able to get people's attention. The problem is you have to earn that attention. So just publishing these things aren't going to necessarily get you where you need to be. We need to stop interrupting what people are interested in and be what people are interested in. This is a quote from Craig Davis, who was the creative director at one of the agencies I worked at in New York. I thought it summed it up beautifully. You have to be what people are interested in. Think about American Express Open Forum. Are they talking about their cards on the front page? No. They're first luring them in. So, mice are not attracted to mouse traps. What are mice attracted to? The cheese on the mouse trap. So your prospects it's like they're in a castle with the drawbridge up, and they're not going to let you in unless they're interested. You can get in a little bit, but it's not going to work. They're going to tune you out. So here's what successful marketers are starting to do as it relates to getting found online and so forth. And this is the construct I'm talking about, and I borrowed this this graphic from the HubSpot company. You may have heard of them, software company. I use it, clients use it, and it's great. And what they put together here, so I want to give them their due. Oh, actually, HubSpot, I'm the head of the HubSpot user group in Hampton Roads, in case anybody wants to come to one of our quarterly meetups. Next one's 9 April. We're going to be talking about how to attract, see how I work these commercials in? How to attract, how to convert more visitors into leads. But if you want to get more information, go to 757hub.com. That's HubSpot user group. See that right there? Okay, so this is, what it's about is this idea of attracting traffic to your site, preferably people that have never heard of you, called non-branded search. They find you while they're looking for something else, and they slowly start to come down the interest funnel. Connecting has to do with converting them to a lead, capturing their information once they come to your site, at least capturing their email address so that you can then start to communicate with them in a helpful, meaningful way. Has anyone here ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk? He's a wild and crazy social media guy. I saw him speak at a conference in Boston, dropped the F-bomb 74 times. And I was doing the Gary Vaynerchuk drinking game where you take a shot each time. Alcohol poison. So he says that a lot of companies are trying to act like 19-year-old guys trying to get laid. Hey, instead of trying to warm it up, they're just like, hey, buy from us. All the guys are trying not to laugh because they know exactly what they're doing. So then once you have their information, like if you look at that American Express thing, you'll see that they want to capture your email address so they can start sending you really useful stuff right away. They're converting. Then you engage with them. You do what's called lead nurturing, and you, based on what they're doing on your site and the information they've expressed an interest in, you can set up all this software to nurture the lead. Most people are going to buy. They're just not going to buy now. Or they may not buy from you, but they're clearly interested. So that's the engage part, and that's where you do lead scoring and integrating it with your customer relationship management system. And then Delight, which back to the Evergreen book I was talking about, that's where their companies are using the same type of tactics that they use to attract people. They're using that to keep their customers. Exact same muscle memory, all that type of thing, so that ultimately they become ambassadors. I mean, look at me. I went through this cycle with that HubSpot company, as a matter of fact. I was downloading stuff from their site. They called me up. A couple weeks later, they said, and I took the call because I recognized the name, and they said, can we tell you what we do? And I said, yeah, I have no idea what you guys do, but I really like the stuff on your site. It's really helpful. They said, oh, well, we're a marketing automation software company, and we do this and that, and so forth. And I said, wow, I'm already using one of those. A week later, I was a customer. It was a big fish hook. I mean, it works on me, and now here I am leading their user group. So I've pretty much gone through there. I guess maybe I'm the poster child. So marketing has become much more technical and overwhelming. And I'll talk about this a little more in a minute. This is a great chart that's updated almost every quarter by Scott Brinker from chiefmartech.com. You go to that website, you'll see it. And what he does is his best attempt to try to show all the marketing technology that's available out there and even put it into clusters. So let me just show you the email marketing. A lot of you are probably familiar with MailChimp, Constant Contact, all that type of thing. There it is, right there. That's just email marketing. And I've even covered up some of the others. But it's just amazing. And so as a result, marketers in the future are going to be able to help their companies or their clients navigate this and say, this is what you need. It's almost like, have you ever gone to the doctor and seen the physician's desk reference with all those different pills? I don't know, it's probably online by now, but it's the ability to navigate through all that. So the marketer of the future, of course there are already people doing this. If you, notice the recurring book theme here. There's a great book called Inbound Marketing, which is by the guys that actually started HubSpot and a couple of MIT MBAs. And in the book, they talk about what they're looking to hire. And they're no different from any other tech company for marketers. And it's DARC, which you may see on their digital, analytical, reach, and content. They're looking for people, and it's not necessarily younger people, but it tends to be, they're digital, what they call digital natives, not digital tourists. In other words, it's like saying to a fish, are you aware of what water is? They don't think Twitter is stupid. They completely understand it, they like it, they think it's cool, they read Mashable and TechCrunch. It's just, they like digital things. They're analytical. So much of marketing now can be measured. So that brings a lot of data that's available to you. A lot of you may have heard of big data. But even little data, you need to be able to be comfortable with Excel spreadsheets and pivot tables and things like that, where you're able to look and see, glean some insights to help you do more of what's working and less of what's not working. There are people that are comfortable with math and spreadsheets and that type of thing. Reach is somebody who knows how to build a following, social reach. A lot of times companies are hiring people now when they see that they already have a big following. I'll give you an example. There's a guy, you've heard of the software company SAP? There was a fellow there who worked in their marketing department named Michael Brenner, and he started a blog, B2B Marketing Insider, which Jamie mentioned earlier. But he just wrote about, issues important to B2B marketers. And of course, SAP was happy to have this guy doing that, and he became a keynote speaker, and all the while working there. But he never was going to worry again about getting another job because he had such reach. And now he's going off to a content software company called NewsCred, where he's their head of content. The notion of reach. And then content, finally, the ability to produce content. And I don't mean 30-second TV commercials. Content like blog posts, audio, podcast, video, long form. That's why there are a lot of journalism students that are suddenly more attractive to agencies and marketers than marketing students. That's why there's a lot of journalists going into marketing. There's lots of articles about that. And I'm happy to see it because we saw what happened to them in that earlier graph I showed. But they understand deadlines, they understand readers, they understand how to create content. So there's some bad news, and we're at the very end here, but I'm not going to end on bad news. The bad news is that there is an enormous talent gap in the ability to navigate all these type of things. There was a Capgemini consulting study they did that determined that 90% of companies lack the necessary digital skills in these areas of social media, mobile, so forth. The good news is that that talent gap is why a lot of studies are showing that marketers who can master these types of things, their salaries are going to easily double in the next 5 years. And there was even an article that Ashley and I were talking about in Forbes last week, written by a professor at UVA's Darden School, and she talked about how CMOs, Chief Marketing Officers, are going to start becoming the place where the CEOs are coming from because of all the different things the marketing guys have to do. Whereas in the past, they might have come up through finance and accounting, and they may still, but already you're starting to see CEOs coming from this marketing background because it's suddenly very important, and it's marketing is getting connected to revenue now, directly connected to revenue. So you can get these slides at bit.ly-HRAMA 2015. Make sure to capitalize the last part, or just send me an email or connect with me on LinkedIn or email.